Watch out, boys. I'm coming for you next.
Oh my God, that was disgusting.
Next time on Fear Factor House of Fear.
You will become the Claw.
Down, down, down. No!
I have been dripping and drooling at the thought of having power.
Oh my God!
Because I know that people are coming for me.
What is this?
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
This is literally my worst nightmare.
The biggest snake so far has been robbed.
Nobody trusts you in the house.
I'm definitely not scared of you.
Fumbled it.
Get out of here.
My game will speak for itself in the truth.
Oh, the gloves are off.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
Senate Republicans gave the White House their endorsement tonight as the military campaign ramps up in Iran. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Beth Jones. This, as the State Department says, the first charter flight of stranded American citizens has departed from the Middle East. Fox's Caroline Shively starts us off tonight.
As more U.S. forces head to the Middle East, the administration is moving full steam ahead with its campaign against Iran. The White House is framing Operation Epic Fury as a roaring success, as the Pentagon says U.S. forces continue to knock out Iranian missile systems and have destroyed its navy. Iran is now looking to find its next supreme leader. The late Ayatollah's son is reportedly a leading candidate. Israel says it will target any successor named by the regime.
Everybody that seems to want to be a leader, they end up dead.
While the White House reportedly considers arming opposition forces in the region, the administration says there's no immediate plan to put boots on the ground.
But I certainly will never take away military options on behalf of the President of the United States.
Iran continues to lash out at its neighbors. An Iranian drone attack damaged buildings in Iraq on Wednesday. Sirens sounding again in Israel as missiles were intercepted in the skies above Tel Aviv. Israeli fighter jets responding with more strikes on Iranian-backed Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. A war powers resolution failed Wednesday in the Senate. It aimed to curb the president's powers. Democrats say it was a chance to get on the record with their opposition.
Have we learned nothing from 25 years of war in the Middle East?
As the conflict widens, even NATO has joined the fight, reportedly shooting down an Iranian missile over Turkish airspace. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Both Maine senators are speaking out about their votes on the Iran war powers resolution. Our Kelly Warren breaks down their responses.
Reporting from the Associated Press indicates that an effort has failed in the U.S. Senate that would have halted U.S. involvement in the war in Iran. That legislation is called a War Powers Resolution, and it failed Wednesday. 54 votes in the negative and 47 in the affirmative. Those votes mostly fell along party lines. Here's how our senators voted.
The administration did not have a clear rationale for going in or a plan for what happens now.
Senator Angus King voted to pass that War Powers Resolution, saying the government needs more time to plan overseas involvement and should have consulted with Congress before becoming embroiled in conflict.
And the reason I voted yes today is that going to war is the most solemn step that any country can make. The framers of our Constitution knew that. They explicitly, and I mean in so many words, said that Congress are the people to declare war, not the president.
King adding Wednesday that his concerns lie not only with the American people, but also with innocent civilians in Iran who could be in the line of fire.
I'm worried about the good people of Iran who don't like their regime, who have been in opposition. The president, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense are all saying to the Iranian people, rise up, now is your opportunity. That is a hollow promise if all we're doing is air power.
Senator Susan Collins stuck with her fellow Republicans and voted to strike the bill down. She released a statement saying in part, quote, "We cannot tolerate a nuclear-armed Iran. The Iranian regime's pursuit of nuclear capabilities, ballistic missile development, and support for terrorist proxies pose serious and long-standing threats to the national security of the United States and our allies," end quote. She added her own thoughts on the question of obeying the Constitution in matters of conflict, saying, quote, "The Constitution gives Congress Congress an essential role in matters of war and peace. Sustained combat operations require full engagement with Congress. The administration has adhered to the provisions of the War Powers Act that require notification to Congress within 48 hours of hostilities commencing, and it has provided numerous classified briefings to Congress." End quote. She went on to say, quote, "Passing this resolution now would send the wrong message to Iran and our troops," end quote. At the time of airing this story, we have yet to hear from our main representatives weighing in. The statements from both senators will be available in full on our website. In studio, I'm Callie Warren for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Meanwhile, investors in the U.S. might feel a sense of trepidation regarding the events occurring in the Middle East and its ripple effect on our economy. Our Doug Banks spoke with a local financial advisor about how people should navigate the stock market during its current state.
This is John Byrne, a financial advisor with over a decade of experience.
No day repeats itself.
The recent joint strikes by the U.S. and Israel on Iran is more than enough to cause a ripple effect within the U.S. economy and make investors wary of the stock market's future, something Byrne currently describes as
volatile, but it's not unusually volatile. I try to reassure my clients that while the causes may be different, the results in the markets aren't that different.
He recommends people keep a broad and diverse mix of investments.
We don't want to put all our eggs in one basket.
Invest in companies with strong management teams who are experienced in getting through
whatever the volatility of the day is.
And proactively rebalancing accounts.
Can make some of the scarier days a little easier to get through.
The recent events can be seen in everyday life. A Gas Buddy report showed the price of oil jumping over $10 a barrel and a predicted 15 to 30 cent per gallon rise at the pump, as hundreds of ships are currently anchored in the Persian Gulf. But Byrne reassures that these spikes could be short-lived.
Those types of cost spikes on energy tend to be fairly short-lived as well after geopolitical events like this.
He advises folks to not get caught up in the short-term noise. Don't make reactive changes. Don't let politics influence investments, but do stay focused on long-term goals.
Stay focused on why you're investing, why you're saving this money, because what happens in the next month in terms of our investment performance is unlikely to have a major impact on the actual outcome 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now.
In Bangor, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
In other news tonight, a beloved business in a rural Maine community was destroyed in an early morning fire. Our Alex Schley has more on what that local establishment has meant to the community for generations.
Around 4:30 Wednesday morning, first responders received reports of a building fire at the Sebec Country Store on Milo Road.
Upon arrival, there was heavy smoke from the side of the building.
Owner Allison McCormick says her husband was plowing the parking lot when he spotted the smoke. Sebec Fire Chief Mike Harris says when crews arrived, the call was quickly upgraded to a third alarm fire, triggering mutual aid from 8 neighboring departments. With no fire hydrants in Sebec, crews shuttled water from Foxcroft Center Road in Dover-Foxcroft.
A quick attack on the fire and got the fire knocked down as quick as possible.
Despite the quick response, McCormick says the interior was severely damaged. Residents say the country store opened in the 1960s and has long served as Sebec's only convenience store. But to many in the town, it was more than a place to grab milk or gas. It was a community gathering space that allowed residents to connect.
It's a very community-oriented establishment. A lot of people meet here for coffee and breakfast in the morning.
They've become family especially with the morning crew, but everybody comes here at different times, and they've offered the community a lot of good things.
Harold Baird, better known as Buddy, is one of the regulars you can find there most mornings.
The riffraff shows up 5 in the morning.
Well, how many of you guys are there?
Oh, probably 5, 6, 7 guys, wood crews.
Gosh.
Guys that cut wood and guys that are still cutting wood and welders and stuff.
The McCormick say the state fire marshal's office told them the fire was electrical. They say they do have insurance, but it's unclear if or when they will be able to rebuild. In Sebec, Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
A bill that would change law enforcement at the state capitol was heard in the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee today. LD 2165 is a governor's bill co-sponsored by Senate President Matty Daughtry and House Speaker Ryan Fecteau. The bill aims to restructure the Capitol Police as the department currently stands and change supervisory authority to have the Maine State Police run Capitol law enforcement operations. If passed, duties to patrol the Capitol would be passed to state troopers through attrition, meaning vacancies in the Capitol Police Department would be filled by state police personnel. The bill has proven controversial, with some saying it will provide greater security and support to Capitol officers, and others worrying about a pay gap and difficulties in the transition.
And they care about the mission, they care about you, they care about this complex, and they were looking for help. I think they were looking for additional resources. They were looking for a different structure.
This bill will cause chaos, confusion, and uncertainty within the Capitol Police. Numbers provided by the Commissioner of Public Safety, as you heard, makes that pay parity difference annually of about $100,000 to replace one Capitol Police officer with one state trooper.
A work session is scheduled to be held on that bill at a later date. Meanwhile, Maine legislators are working to address the presence of drones near correctional facilities. LD 2157 is presented by Representative Chad Perkins of Dover-Foxcroft. Perkins says drones can be used to smuggle contraband into prisons or to coordinate criminal activity. To combat this, the bill would criminalize the operation of drones on or over correctional facility premises.
In fact, the problem is so prevalent now that there are some states where they're, reporting 70, 80 instances a month where drones are being used to smuggle contraband into prisons.
Perkins says the bill has been amended so only instances of operating drones with malicious or criminal intent would be punishable. He adds that if the bill passes, Maine would be one of several states to pass laws regulating drones at correctional facilities. Well, Maine's congressional delegation is seeking economic relief for the state's blueberry, potato, and apple farmers. In a letter to United States Department of Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins, the delegation urged the administration to continue delivering targeted, data-driven support for Maine's specialty crop farmers. They also called on the administration to introduce lumber and fisheries in future targeted relief from tariffs. In the letter, they wrote, quote, "Given the absence of reliable, up-to-date cost of production and farm gate pricing data for Maine specialty crops, many specialty crops that is, it is essential that USDA work directly with Maine's specialty crop stakeholders to establish payment rates that meaningfully address current losses. Failure to do so risks leaving critical sectors of Maine's agricultural economy without adequate relief during a period of extraordinary financial strain," end quote. One of the 29 nonprofits that received money after the Lewiston mass shooting is giving that money back to help the families of the victims and the survivors. 18 people were killed and 13 injured after a gunman opened fire at Just-in-Time Recreation Bowling Alley and Schmenge's Bar and Grill. In the aftermath, Maine Community Foundation set up two funds, one to help the families of the deceased and those injured, and another fund called the Lewiston Auburn Broad Recovery Fund. Since the shooting, family members of those who died and survivors have said they've incurred bills they are unable to pay, and they've questioned how some of the money from the Broad Recovery Fund was actually used. Nonprofit The Root Cellar is giving back the $65,000 it received and used for trauma healing groups. Their executive director says it is their sincere hope that other nonprofit organizations and individuals will do the same to help alleviate as much ongoing need as possible. Well, representatives gathered at the State House today to hear a report on how communities across Maine have spent opioid settlement funds to address the opioid crisis. While progress has been made, the state still has a lot of work to do. Our Alexa Kennedy reports.
Wednesday, the Maine Opioid Settlement Support Center presented the first annual report on opioid settlement fund spending by Maine communities. In partnership with the Substance Use and Evaluation Team at the Catherine Cutler Institute and the Maine Office of the Attorney General, the organizations have worked to promote efficient and transparent spending of the settlement funding that Mainers received in 2022 from a multi-state lawsuit. That lawsuit secured opioid settlement funds from pharmaceutical companies until 2038. Smith says the settlement funding funding is allocated based on individual community needs.
We're using a community up approach, engaging people with lived experience, making the decisions about what resources they need in their community and how we can best use this funding to support that.
It's Moss's job to identify and assist with how to best address them.
Today is a win for recovery and harm reduction community across Maine because we've been calling for this transparency for many years. And so today we honor the win, and then tomorrow we'll continue the fight to ensure that this money is hitting the ground and doing the best work that it can do.
According to the director of the opioid response team, Gordon Smith, results showed that while there is much work to be done, there has been progress in multiple areas. He says data shows younger generations are less affected by opioids and fewer people are overdosing upon release after incarceration because of successful treatments.
As soon as they got out, they went back to using. Their thresholds had changed, the drugs had changed, and they were at high risk of death. We rarely have a death under those circumstances anymore.
The committee voted to adjourn the meeting until Thursday. In Augusta, Alexa Kennedy, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And we'll pause now for a first check of our forecast.
Thank you, Beth. After seeing some snow last night, I bet you didn't expect the temperatures to be reaching almost near 50 degrees out there for today, which melted that snow we saw last night. 47 here in town, low to mid 40s along your coastline with some areas in the 50s. You saw 51 in Sanford, 54 in Freiburg for today, and mid 40s even existed all the way up north on the Presque Isle this afternoon as well, sitting at 44 this afternoon. But for tonight, our northern counties are back below freezing with a cold front on the way, bringing some much cooler air. That's going to bring some scattered snow showers to the northern tier of the state. And some of that may try to reach into our area for tomorrow late morning to the afternoon. Otherwise, we're staying dry, but we will be much cooler with the cloud cover and the cold front passing by for tomorrow afternoon. So taking a look into tonight, our temperatures will be hanging out near the low 20s for lows with lots of cloud cover out there, maybe a few flurries possible in the area. Beth?
Chase, thank you so much. And still to come, more of your local news.
A few weeks ago, I went down to the basement to see what was happening with the boilers and opened the door, and there was about 12 to 14 inches of water in our basement. I knew who to call right away, and that was Bouchard. They were here within a half hour. They work well with our insurance company. They're very, very efficient, and all I have to do is call them any time of day. They're going to take care of me. Our business is our life, and that's why I don't hesitate to recommend them to other people.
A sharp pain in his chest. He knew it was his heart, but 2 hours from the big city hospital could tragically mean the end. But it wasn't. Thanks to Senator Susan Collins' tireless fight for Maine's rural hospitals. Because of Senator Collins' work, his local hospital had recently received up-to-date diagnostic equipment and upgraded facilities, all paid for with new federal funding. Lives are being saved. Call and thank our Senator Susan Collins for delivering this lifeline for Maine.
We can go into a room and have absolutely nothing in there, nothing on the windows, no color, no character, no tone to a room.
That's, I think, where we're strongest, is being able to help someone envision what's going to go in that window.
And we leave, it's totally transformed into something that the customer wants it to be. We've often been told we make a room look better just by leaving it.
When the morning light hits Maine, start your day with a good morning, Maine. Craig Colson, Janessa Bishop, by your side, bringing the stories that matter statewide. Local news and the forecast ahead, wake up informed, ready to go on ABC 7 and Fox 22.
The National YMCA organization gave a first-of-its-kind award today to Senator Susan Collins. It's called the Impact Award, and leaders said it went to Collins because of her, quote, unmatched support of the YMCA's mission in Maine and across the country. She was lauded for working to strengthen the Y's capacity to provide affordable childcare to communities. The Y said over the past 5 years, Collins has delivered $12 million in congressionally directed funding to Ys in Maine, as well as valuable tax credits. They also said the new YMCA facility that is taking shape in Bangor would not have happened without her.
The why has solutions. Its impact is changing lives for the better. And that is what we are celebrating this evening. And I'm so happy to be here with you.
Well, Stonington residents have voted to immediately terminate a long-standing contract for dedicated patrol services from the Hancock County Sheriff's Office. Town officials say the narrow vote came down to budget concerns, but some locals fear this could impact response times. Our Grace Blanchard has more.
In a tight two-margin vote, residents have voted to cut funding for a dedicated sheriff's patrol shift in the town of Stonington.
This issue has come up, before for townspeople in the past.
According to town officials, Stonington has had a long-running contract with the Hancock County Sheriff's Office to have a designated deputy in town 3 days a week for deterring crime.
There are also residents in town who want increased police presence. It's really just a matter of the additional money.
According to Fifield, the sentiment among residents was that they were covering the cost for services they should already be receiving by paying county taxes.
I also heard from a lot of residents that, they felt like by virtue of the fact that we're at the end of the line, that we're sort of subsidizing the police presence, increased police presence for everybody along the way.
Town records highlight the sheriff's office responded to more than 400 various incidents in Stonington last year. Just one day before Monday's vote, one of the town's main markets was vandalized. Some locals feared this decision could impact response times to the area.
It's nice to have someone available on short notice, and it's usually short notice that you want,
Fifield says police coverage will still be available despite the contract ending. He says increased patrol is needed across the county, which is up to the county commissioners to allocate funding for.
I don't understand why the county commissioners don't see and hear the need that their towns are asking for additional police coverage.
In Stonington, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Coming up on the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22, we'll have your national headlines.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
As a hybrid pioneer, followed by years of refinement, Toyota has earned praise for creating the most advanced and reliable hybrid system. Now with more hybrid all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive models than any other brand. Like the bold and modern all-wheel drive Prius Hybrid with exceptional comfort and an up to 567-mile total driving range. So see your New England Toyota dealer, your hybrid all-wheel drive headquarters. Toyota, let's go places.
I'm Jonathan Bush. I've made my career disrupting the status quo, creating jobs, and helping people achieve their American dream.
Jonathan Bush. He's a veteran, a conservative leader, and Maine job creator.
Maine needs big change. State spending is out of control. We need to audit Augusta, reduce waste, cut income and property taxes. I will shake up Augusta. I'm Jonathan Bush. I look forward to earning your vote.
Ready to create your backyard oasis? Alexander's Professional Landscaping will work with you to create your perfect outdoor space. Work one-on-one with our landscape designer to create a unique garden to fit your family's personal aesthetics and lifestyle. Have our pros install your new lawn, garden, or patio. Schedule a consultation today by calling 573-4497. Alexander's Professional Landscaping, the way landscaping should be.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
You are watching WFVX, Fox 22, Bangor.
As the conflict in the Middle East continues, concern is growing among some consumers over the rising price of crude oil and natural gas. The war could cause higher electricity and home heating costs. It could also bump up prices at the pump for drivers across the country. Fox's Kevin Cork has the story.
this was a hefty fill up. So that was a little unfortunate.
Growing concern among American drivers, seeing prices at the pump go up amid the ongoing U.S.-Israeli bombardment of Iran.
I hope it goes down soon, because I don't want to be paying these prices for long.
According to AAA, the average price of a regular gallon of gas was $3.19 Wednesday. That's up from $2.97 a week ago. Analysts warn the conflict in the Middle East could drive up those prices even further, potentially by an additional 20 to 30 cents per gallon, partly due to supply issues and global uncertainty.
If these shipments of oil out of the Middle East are interrupted for a long period of time, we could see $100 oil, like $100 a barrel. And $100 a barrel oil means gas prices here in the U.S. of $4 per gallon or even higher.
It's an issue President Trump acknowledged this week and tried to ease by offering U.S. Navy escorts for oil tankers crossing the Strait of Hormuz, a pivotal waterway for oil transport.
If we have a little high oil prices for a little while, but as soon as this ends, those prices are going to drop, I believe, lower than even before.
Those assurances, however, not enough for some already feeling the pinch here at home.
I mean, I'm a little worried. We already are paying, more in the grocery store. We're paying, more at the gas pump. So I don't know. It's a little concerning.
The president is also offering risk insurance to oil tankers this week. No word yet on if any have actually taken him up on that offer. In Washington, I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
DHS Secretary Kristi Noem faced continued questioning today about her agency's immigration crackdown and enforcement policies. Fox's Anna Eliopoulos has the details.
This week, for the first time since January's unrest in the streets of Minneapolis and the fatal shootings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy at the hands of ICE agents, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem on Capitol Hill defending the Trump administration's immigration enforcement crackdown.
We have a real threat from countries that are sending us people that we have not thoroughly vetted. So we need to pause so I can go back and re-vet all those individuals, make sure that they are here and that they aren't here to do us harm.
Noem facing heavy criticism for a second straight day. Video of the shootings of Good and Preddy were played as the secretary was grilled over the agency's tactics.
You jumped before the cameras on national TV and lied about these victims, labeling them domestic terrorists, before the investigation had even begun. Even your own ICE director has now admitted that they are not terrorists.
The chaos that unfolded in Minnesota has led to a stalemate in Congress, where the Senate remains deadlocked on a plan to fully fund DHS through September.
We'll continue to oppose this terrible Homeland bill because they're trying to use ICE and CBP money against U.S. citizens. They've already killed 2. Their policies are the problem.
Noem and members of the GOP argue that leaving DHS unfunded while the U.S. engages in attacks on Iran makes the country vulnerable.
Global tensions are high, threats are constantly evolving, and America's adversaries are watching for any sign of weakness on our part.
During the hearings, Democrats and several Republicans have called for Noem's resignation. Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
Lawmakers are taking a closer look at how the IRS is handling the busy 2026 tax filing season, and Democrats piled on the newly named CEO, accusing him of playing politics with taxpayer money. Fox's Mike Emanuel has more from D.C.
It's tax season, and the new head of the IRS is in the hot seat on Capitol Hill. Frank Bisignano, the first person to serve in the newly created role of CEO, getting hammered by Democrats on the House Ways and Means Committee about how the agency will cope with the loss of more than 25% of its staff during the DOGE cuts.
America needs an IRS that serves them reliably, not one that is repurposed as a tool for this president.
Democrats also accusing the IRS of targeting the president's political enemies and lying about the size of Americans' refunds. Bisignano pushed back, claiming the agency is more than ready to handle the 164 million returns expected to be filed this year.
We feel great about the staffing levels. Wait times on the phone are single digits, and that's a really good performance.
And there were tense exchanges about the IRS sharing sensitive data with ICE for use in immigration enforcement, which was later ruled illegal by a federal judge.
Was anybody fired as a result of these 42,000 illegal disclosures?
No, sir.
Was anyone disciplined?
No, sir.
But Republicans came to Bisignano's defense, saying he's doing his best to rebuild the IRS.
IRS has always been one of our top agencies. I think we're seeing improvement already, and so I'm very grateful for your work.
And if you haven't started doing your taxes yet, time is running out. The filing deadline is April 15th. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
Still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, city officials are seeking out Maine's creative minds for their latest art installation. And in sports, the Maine men's hockey team is looking to close out the regular season on a high note versus Vermont this weekend. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the World Baseball Classic.
Bryce Harper, Polsky, Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge.
Team USA takes on Brazil, only on Fox.
Tired of worrying whether your credit will hold you back from getting a car? At Down East Credit Union, we believe everyone deserves reliable transportation, even with less than perfect credit. Let us guide you every step of the way. If your credit score is under 670 or you've had setbacks like bankruptcy or repossession, that doesn't mean you're out of options. We'll help you get pre-approved, guide you through car shopping, and work with you on a plan to rebuild your credit. Reach out to Down East Credit Union today. Let's get you on the road confidently.
You heard it was a hit. You heard it was a smash. A wonder. A phenomenon. An international sensation. But you haven't heard them.
March 16 at the Cross Insurance Center. Get your tickets today.
ABC 7, Fox 22. The place we call home, telling Maine stories wherever you roam. From sunrise shores to forests of pine, hard work, strong hearts, values that shine. From old towns to harbors, back roads to ocean blue. Neighbors helping neighbors in all that we do. Through storms and clear skies, day after day, we're here with the stories that matter in Maine. From mountains to sea, standing strong and true. This is Maine, this is home on ABC 7, Fox 22.
Minnesota's governor and attorney general defended themselves today as they were questioned about massive fraud allegations in their state. Governor Tim Walz and Keith Ellison appeared before the House Oversight Committee. Fox's Bill Malugin shows us what happened.
Governor Walz, do you have any regrets over the way you handled fraud in your state?
No response from Minnesota Governor Tim Walz ahead of a House Oversight Committee hearing into the Minnesota fraud scandal.
Is it racist for a government official to identify fraud?
No.
No. Is it Islamophobic?
To identify fraud?
To identify fraud?
No, I don't believe it would be.
Most committee Republicans tried to pin Governor Walz down.
How many people have been indicted in your state right now? Do you know, Governor?
I don't have those numbers with me.
You don't? 98 people been indicted. You happen to know how many are Somali American?
I don't. We don't investigate or prosecute people based on ethnicity.
85% of the people indicted were Somali American, key voting bloc, and I think that's what drove this whole thing.
Others veered off topic.
Governor Walz, what is a woman? Have you learned that lesson? Do you know what a woman is?
I'm the governor of Minnesota, Congresswoman.
Do you know what a
I'm not
woman
here
is?
to be your prop for your obsession.
Still, it was committee Democrats who seemed to want to discuss anything except fraud.
Renee Good, a Minneapolis mom.
And I think more about what would happen to Jesus in this country.
The president launched a war on Iran without the consent of Congress.
Governor Walz repeatedly said that projections of $9 billion stolen from his state are inflated, but he acknowledged the fraud happened under his watch, and it's on him.
I've taken accountability for this. I'm not going to run again. I need to spend the time fixing this.
And multiple committee Republicans called on Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison to resign today, but Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna went further than that. She said she's referring both of them to DOJ for potential criminal prosecution. Reporting in Washington, Bill Malugin, Fox News.
Switching gears now, this wearable fitness tracker company plans to increase its staff by as much as 75%. Fox Business Network's Grady Trimble has a look at that story and more in tonight's Fox Means Business.
Markets finished higher for your Wednesday. All three major indices green across the board. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ both closing out their best days since February 6th. Whoop Inc. plans to increase its staffing by as much as 75% this year. The maker of the popular screenless fitness band intends to add more than 600 new roles across various departments. The planned hiring spree is happening as the company heads for a potential IPO filing in the next 2 years. Papa John's is planning to close hundreds of locations across North America by the end of next year. The pizza chain has identified roughly 300 underperforming restaurants that are not meeting brand expectations or lack a clear path to sustainable financial improvement. The company says about 200 closures will happen this year alone. And Disney's cruise line is going big in Asia. The company's 8th and largest ship, the Disney Adventure, will embark on its maiden voyage this month, carrying passengers on 3- and 4-night journeys from Singapore. The vessel can hold 6,700 passengers, which is 2/3 more capacity than Disney's Wish-class ships. That's business. I'm Grady Trimble.
And just ahead, your full 5-day forecast.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
At the County Federal Credit Union, we value the trust our members place in us to act in their best interest. Whether it's providing low rates on consumer loans or raising money to end hunger, we work hard to serve our members and the communities in which they live. We are excited to bring the meaningful and impactful work we do to all Mainers as we continue to grow. Wherever you are in life's journey, count on the county to be your financial partner.
At Maine's #1 Kia dealer, Darling's Kia, you can't miss in 2026. Drive a brand new all-wheel drive Sportage for only $299 a month, or buy a new Kia SUV for under $20,000. Plus, every new Kia comes with our 10-year or 100,000-mile warranty. The best in the business. You can't miss this and more at Darling's Kia. The best cars, the best prices, and the best warranty. You'll do better at Darling's.
Car accidents can be scary. It can feel like the whole world is crashing down around you. You can't work, you've got expensive medical bills, pain and suffering. Absolute chaos. We'll take the stress and frustrations off your shoulders. We've done that for thousands of people, and we're ready to help you too. Hurt in a car accident? I'm on top of it. I'm your go-to guy.
Call 222-2222.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
6th ranked UConn
Throwing it down with one hand.
takes on Marquette. Saturday at 12:30 Eastern on Fox College Hoops.
Thank you very much. Tonight's weather is brought to you by Stone Artisans. For fast, beautiful countertops, trust Stone Artisans, your main stone supplier at 249-3040. All right, highs for today, getting close to 50 here in Bangor after receiving some snowfall last night. 47 was our official high with low to mid 40s along your coastline. Even saw a few 50s out there. We saw that in Sanford for today at 51 and Freiburg at 54 this afternoon. And we still saw the mid 40s stretch all the way north up into Presque Isle this afternoon where they sat near 44. For tonight, though, a strong cold front is coming and it's going to bring some cooler temperatures, of course. By the early morning hours, you're going to be in the single digits. Further up north, you're going to be in the teens near the Monson and Millinocket area, and right around 20 degrees here in Bangor with low to mid 20s along your coastline. And temperatures won't budge much for tomorrow. We'll get a little bit of daytime heating, but only bringing us into the mid to upper 20s, about 20 degrees cooler than we were out there for today. So of course, yeah, this is a strong cold front, definitely bringing some cooler temperatures for tomorrow. But if you look at the temperature trend, the rest of the week, it looks really nice, right? We'll warm back up into the 40s for your Saturday, low 50s for Sunday, and yes, that is a 61 to be exact for your Tuesday. So we're going to be about 25 degrees above average then. And we'll continue the 50s going into your Wednesday as well. So really going to warm up into the mid portions of next week after we cool off for tomorrow. Some wind is going to come with this front, gusting near 20 to 25 miles per hour at times as we get into the late morning hours. That wind still breezy out there, but then by the afternoon it's going to begin to die down. Still a little bit of a breeze, gusting near 10 to 15 miles per hour, but it'll be better off than we were for tomorrow morning. By your Friday afternoon, those winds are going to be lights throughout the day. But of course, with that cold front arriving throughout tonight, we'll see increasing cloud cover from the north, making its way into the Bangor region. We do have that chance for some scattered showers up in the northern tier of the state, dropping about an inch of snowfall for some local spots. But here in Bangor, we're really not going to see any of that at all. We're going to see that precipitation get out of here. Cloudy skies for the afternoon, but yes, we will feel the temperature swing. It is going to be much cooler for your Thursday afternoon. And we do have another small chance for some snow showers, mainly down near Portland for tomorrow night into your Friday morning. Again, that's going to bring more cloud cover, but not much precipitation into your Friday, and we should warm back up into the mid 30s by then. So how much snow is the northern tier of the state going to see for tonight? Again, some local spots seen up to an inch up there, but the rest of us, if we do see any snow, trace amounts, right? Just a few flurries. Not much of that is going to make its way into the Bangor region. Of course, you're staying dry along the coastline. So with that cold front, we're not really seeing much precipitation, but we will see the temperature drop, of course. So for tonight, lows in the low 20s, cloudy skies, some light snow showers further north for tonight as winds stay calm out there. Picking up towards the early morning hours, though, and we'll see some winds gusting near 20 miles per hour at times. So we can see those highs only reaching to the mid to upper 20s, about 20 degrees cooler than we were for today. And again, that wind will be from the northeast for tomorrow. So here's a look at our extended forecast. We'll warm right back up into the mid 30s with some partly cloudy skies for your Friday. Saturday, we're into the mid 40s with showers starting to fall as rain for the northern tier of the state. We'll see better chances for rain showers Saturday night, but we'll clear out Sunday, highs back in the low 50s and then into the mid 50s by your Monday afternoon. Beth?
Chase, thank you so much. And we have sports next. Stay with us.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
A sharp pain in his chest. He knew it was his heart, but 2 hours from the big city hospital could tragically mean the end. But it wasn't. Thanks to Senator Susan Collins' tireless fight for Maine's rural hospitals. Because of Senator Collins' work, his local hospital had recently received up-to-date diagnostic equipment and upgraded facilities, all paid for with new federal funding. Lives are being saved. Call and thank our Senator Susan Collins for delivering this lifeline for Maine.
We're lucky to live in Maine. We have a wealth of natural resources, hardworking people, and time for the things that matter. Mechanical Services is all about Maine, with energy efficiency that protects our environment and helps businesses grow. Preventive maintenance and energy solutions that save money. How Maine is that? Mechanical Services. We're everywhere you are in Maine.
We are here at Planet Fitness, getting strong for the season's biggest games. Join now, and your first month is free. With the PF Black Card, you can bring a friend anytime and unlock sensational recovery amenities like red light.
Dickie P?
Let's go.
Get the PF Black Card for $1 down, $24.99 a month, and get your first month free. No commitment. Deal ends March 13th.
Planet Fitness, we're all strong on this planet, baby.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
Our names were whispered through time, from generation to generation. Nothing is impossible for God.
Welcome back in, folks. The Maine men's hockey team plays their last regular season game on Saturday at Vermont. Our Jack Webb was at practice this week to catch up with the red-hot Black Bears.
Any win at this time of the year is important.
The Maine men's hockey team picked up 2 massive wins this past weekend over Northeastern, who was just 2 points ahead of the Black Bears entering the series. It was a weekend that encouraged Maine hockey fans as they watched an inconsistent squad find their footing with a sweep of the Huskies at 2 neutral sites.
That weekend was huge. Obviously, the standings are super tight still. And yeah, they're obviously right above us going into that weekend. So we wanted as many points as we could, and luckily we came away with all 6.
Gives us a lot of confidence the last few weeks, just knowing that our work in practice is starting to pay off in games for us. So obviously with the results, we're not a result-oriented team. We care about the process, but it's good to see the points falling in the right direction.
So what was the difference last weekend?
I think it's really the mentality of the team. I think there was a lot of belief this weekend on the bench. Obviously we shut them out the first night, but the second night they start to come back. They're playing good hockey in the third, and I think the belief on the bench, we knew that if we stuck with our system, there's no way they're going to beat us.
In an up-and-down year, one constant has been the presence of senior forward Owen Fowler, who scored 2 goals on Friday night.
I mean, he's always been a hard-nosed kid that plays the game the right way, but he's really he's found another level.
Obviously playing with them 2 great players on my line, and with Sully and Josh. But I've tried to play my game the whole year, and physical, get on in their D, forecheck hard, and just generate pucks to the net and kind of cause havoc.
Going into this final weekend of the season, the Black Bears could finish anywhere from 3rd to 6th in the Hockey East standings. However, they're just trying to control the controllables.
Just trying to be where our feet are and focus on what's in on the room, the guys and the coaching staff and our systems, our structure. I think, like I said, when we're playing our best, we can play with anybody in the country, and our big focus this weekend is getting 3 points on the road.
Maine will close out the regular season at Vermont on Saturday night. Puck drops at 7 p.m. From Orono, Jack Webb, ABC7, Fox 22 Sports.
Now some exciting news from the Maine women's basketball team ahead of their America East quarterfinal matchup versus UNH on Thursday, as senior star Adriana Smith has been named the America East Player of the Year. Smith becomes just the 6th Maine-born athlete to win the award, and when you break down her stats from this year, there's no question as to why she was selected. She leads the conference in points, rebounds, and assists per game, and is the only player in the nation averaging 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists. Smith also ranks 12th in the nation with 17 recorded double-doubles on the season, and her 55 total in her career is the most in America East history since 1994. Smith was also selected to the All-Defensive Team and the All-Academic Team with a GPA of 3.79. Now it's time we bring you all some high school hockey action, and man, did we have a crazy tilt for the Class B North title between Hamden Academy and Messalonski. A rematch of this same game back in 2023. The Eagles won that one. Hamden looking for their first in 23 years. First period, Hamden's Brody Miller tries the wraparound. It's saved by Nathan Kirk, but still loose. He lays down on it to keep it scoreless. Later in the first, Henry Armwell is on the break. He just has to get past Kirk, but Kirk stays with it and makes an unreal save. Early second period, Eagles on the attack. Shot is saved by Aiden Saran at first, but then the rebound, it's Alex Beckwith. He finds the space and puts it in to take the lead. But then early in the third period, here's Miles Shields. Coast to coast he goes. Tough angle on the left side, shot, scores. We are tied at 1, and through 2 overtime periods, we have no winner. So we head to a triple overtime, and that's when it happens. Broncos shot goes wide, off the boards, rolls back in front, tipped in and scored by Wyatt Allen, and Hamden wins their first regional title since 2003 in dramatic fashion, 2-1. Some breaking news out of Foxborough today as the New England Patriots have released veteran wide receiver Stephon Diggs. Diggs signed a 3-year, $69 million contract back in March of last year, and he was a key piece of a puzzle that put together the Pats' unexpected Super Bowl run. Diggs recorded 85 receptions for just over 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns in 2025, and ahead of the playoff push Ahead of the Patriots' playoff push, Diggs was charged with felony strangulation and 1 count of assault and battery and pleaded not guilty. Following the Super Bowl, his trial is set to begin in April. It's not known whether the release stems from this or any other legal issues, but the decision coming before the start of the new league year next week. The Pats will save $26 million on his contract. That's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
I wish to present the importance of hard work and determination, of not backing down when things are tough, of being there to help a friend, because it is only when we work together that we achieve true greatness.
With a 100% U.S.-based workforce and a 100% U.S.-built fiber broadband network, Spectrum is America's connectivity company.
When you're ready to remodel your kitchen, find all the materials and services you need at Hammond Lumber Company. Get inspired by the extensive in-store displays in Hammond's kitchen, bath, and flooring division. Hammond's designers will help you visualize your space before the work begins. And all design fees are refunded when you purchase your materials from them. And Hammond delivers from 34 locations across Maine and New Hampshire. When it's time for a new kitchen, it's time to bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company, your building project partner.
Are you experiencing foot pain? Comfort Shoes & More has a team of experts trained in podorthics to help you find relief. They offer tailored fittings, shoe modifications, customized orthotics, and much more for the ordinary or the hard-to-fit foot. Discover the latest in functional and fashionable footwear for men and women from today's top brands: Hoka, Brooks, Keen, Merrell, and Ariat. From running to walking, casual or dress, they have it all. Take the drive to Newport for a sit-and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
I'm Jim with Lowry Law. I was contacted by a woman who asked me to help one of her friends who had been hurt by a drunk driver. We got him a $250,000 settlement. If you've been hurt by a drunk driver, call me. I'm your go-to guy.
Our names were whispered through time, from generation to generation. Surely nothing is impossible for God.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Your goal is to put items in the correct order before, in between, definitely after.
This is The Perfect Line. Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
More than 1 in 3 adults and 1 in 4 children suffer from seasonal allergies, myself included. And if you live in certain parts of the country, you may be sneezing a bit more this spring. Just in time for allergy season, Thumbtack is releasing its first ever report ranking the 10 sneeziest cities in the U.S. Topping the list is Atlanta, followed by Charlotte, North Carolina, Austin, Texas, Washington, D.C., and Dallas. 7 of the top 10 cities are in the southern part of the country, where longer growing seasons, dense tree coverage, and high humidity create ideal conditions for pollen to linger. If you're looking to breathe a little easier this season, Thumbtack suggests maintaining your HVAC system, deep cleaning soft surfaces regularly, staying on top of yard maintenance, and sealing the gaps around doors and windows to help keep allergens like pollen and dust outside your home. Well, AI is reshaping the restaurant industry, and as Fox's Lydia Hu reports, the true transformation is largely happening behind the scenes.
More restaurants are leaning into AI. According to the National Restaurant Association, 26% of restaurant operators say they're using artificial intelligence-related tools, with another 25 to 26% testing it out.
We're struggling to find people. The male workforce is declining in America, as we know, so finding employees is difficult. So AI is a great way to provide efficiency and streamline operations.
Restaurants are using AI to improve customer experience, like app and kiosk ordering, inventory management using predictive analytics to reduce waste, marketing, and operational benefits. AI assists with staffing shortages, inventory forecasting, and back-of-house tasks.
AI in the back of the house is a powerful, powerful asset for us. It can save us considerable dollars.
Customers are increasingly getting more comfortable using tech to place their orders. A majority of Gen Z adults are open to food delivery by robots or drones.
Here we are.
Roughly 6 in 10 millennials and Gen Z adults say they would place an order with an AI-generated bot. Bar Rescue host John Taffers says he's holding off on putting AI in the front of house at his Taffers Taverns.
I don't want you interacting with the machine. I want you interacting with people. I think that connectivity is very important. But all of my AI is back of the house. We manage inventory. We manage order process. We track ticket times. We track all of these incentives. We can track labor costs down to the moment.
As far as robotic bartenders go, Taffer says their drink-making skills are consistent and that the next generation of bartender bots have screens with personalities that can be fun to interact with.
I would consider using one in the back of the house. But if it had a neat personality and it had a connective element to it, it could be fun.
Many chains are adopting or testing drive-through voice automation. Taco Bell adopted voice AI at its drive-thrus in 2024, but had to rethink the tech last year after inconsistent performance. McDonald's used voice AI at its drive-thrus through a partnership with IBM, but ended the deal in 2024 after 3 years. The chain says it plans to use more artificial intelligence across its system in the near future. In New York, Lydia Hu, Fox Business.
Motorcyclists from around the world are gathering in Florida for the 85th annual Daytona Bike Week. Fox Business correspondent Ashley Webster is there with more.
Some 400 to 600,000 biking enthusiasts gather here each year for Bike Week in Daytona Beach, Florida. They're here to share stories, enjoy the camaraderie, and oh yes, to buy bikes. Teddy Morse, who runs the local Harley dealership here, says the attraction is simple.
Riding a motorcycle, you instantly become the version of yourself that your 8-year-old always dreamed you'd be. It is, I'm not kidding. I mean, you become, it's a time machine. You throw your leg over and you're 17. You're going to pick up your crush and take her to homecoming.
Harley sales were down more than 12% worldwide last year, and biking marketplace is actually seeing some new trends. Older bikers are turning to three-wheeler trikes for stability and comfort. There are also more women buying motorbikes. People like Cody Cameron, who rode all the way from LA to Daytona on her 12-year-old bike.
The bike costs $3,000 off the lot, so again, super affordable, anybody can do it, and then it's probably been about $10,000 dumped into her.
$10,000 for a $3,000 bike. You thinking of upgrading, or is this your baby?
Everybody keeps trying to get me to upgrade. Everyone also said, you can't ride in the winter, you can't ride a Sportster to Daytona Beach, and I said, hell yeah, I can. 3,000 miles on a Sporty, I don't need to upgrade.
For the local economy, it's like Black Friday every day of the event, and all thanks to some biking enthusiasts who say this lifestyle is about freedom. In Daytona Beach, Florida, Ashley Webster, Fox Business.
There's certainly no shortage of motorcycle enthusiasts here in Maine as well. Alrighty, folks, well, that is going to do it for us. From everyone here at Fox 22 News, take care and have a great rest of your night. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.
For more local news coverage, switch over to our sister station, ABC7, right now for ABC7 News at 11.
What's up, guys? What I'm about to show you is going to change the way you shave your head forever.
You can shave your head in 90 seconds or less,
with no cuts or nicks.
Introducing Remington's new and improved Balder Boss. With increased flex and 5 dual-track floating head design, Get over 60% more head coverage for a faster, closer shave and skin close results. And only through this exclusive TV offer, now you can try it in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. Balder Boss is the fast, easy, safe way to shave your head, wet or dry, in 90 seconds or less, without nicks or cuts.
No nicks, no scrapes, fit in the palm of my hand, and the results were amazing.
The 360-degree pivoting neck contours closely around your head curves for maximum contact, anytime, anywhere, in 90 seconds or less. With exclusive Wet Tech technology, shave in the shower, or with any foam or gel. Japanese-grade steel blades and turbo power plow through the thickest of hair, yet gentle enough it won't irritate skin. With pure lithium power that lasts up to an incredible 60 minutes. That's like 1 full month of use without a recharge.
Next time on Shark Tank, former Shark Tank entrepreneur Allison Ellsworth returns to the tank, this time as a shark after selling her healthy soda brand, Poppy, for close to $2 billion.
7 years ago, I stood where you guys are standing right there. I really feel like I've lived the American dream.
Hot Girl Soda was made to add a little extra sparkle to your day.
I love this idea and I love you.
Something here is costing a lot of money.
By the way, it's over between us.
OMG.
Ike Barinholtz and Wagner Morrow on a new Jimmy Kimmel Live later tonight.
This is ABC 7 News at 11.